Yeah, so hi everyone, welcome back to the data science program and welcome back to the channel Future 4.0. In this video, we'll be discussing about Python variables, how to create them, and there is a concept called static and dynamic typing and static and dynamic binding. And before that, we'll be studying about the type function. So without wasting any time, I'll take you to the Google Colab notebook. So first we'll study about the type function. So what it does is it basically tells you the data type. Suppose we want to check the type of 88, so 99, any number. So it'll give us the output as integer. Suppose we want to check the type of any string, Sushant. It'll give us the result as a string. We want to check the type of float, suppose 6.66. It will give us the result as a float. We can check the data type of a string as well. Suppose we are checking the type of a list, so we'll provide a number, a string, a float, and a boolean. Oh shit, okay. Now you do shift enter. We'll get the output as a list. See, we are getting the type as list, so that means the data type of this is a list. And then we'll study about I don't know why Google Colab is behaving like this. See, now we'll study about Python variables. So what are variables? So variables are basically a container which is used to store information and different types of information, and you can use this information for future purposes. I'll give you an example. When we visit different websites, suppose we have created we signed up on a website and we log in into the website. So what happens is it gives you a text like, okay, welcome Vikash, welcome Sushant, welcome Hari, any name. So what is happening is they have created a variable, and they are taking the name from the database and they are storing in that variable. So these variables are basically a container, and these variables are made for future purposes, like you can use the information in future. So we'll create our own variable here. Suppose we created a variable by the name of a equals to 15 and b equals to 20. I think this is giving an indentation. Okay, fine. Then what we can do is we can print a plus b. You can do any kind of operations. You can do relation as well, relational operation as well, but I have not taught you about the operation, so right now I'll keep it simple only. See, you can do this type of functions. So we created a variable by the name of a, b, and we did an operation, arithmetic operation. So this is how we can create a variable. You can create a variable by the name of c. Suppose you are storing a string Sushant, and then what you can do is you can print c, then you shift enter, and you will get the output as Sushant. There's a spelling mistake, so sorry about that, but this is how you create a variable. You can create the variable, you can store. Here we have created a variable called a and we have stored the value 15. We have created a variable called b and we have stored the value 20 in b, and we did an addition operation. And then we created a variable and we have stored a string Sushant, and then what we did is we printed c. So this is how we create a variable. Now we'll study about the static and dynamic typing. First we'll study about static typing. This is supported in languages like C, C++. So what happens in static typing is, when you're creating the variable, you don't have basically you have to specify the data type in the beginning only. If you have remembered, in C and C++, we used to write int e equals to, and then we used to give 18 like this. So what we used to do is, we used to provide the data type in the beginning only, but when you are I'll create one more cell here only. Yeah, I don't know why Google Colab is working so slow. See, now what we'll study is, we'll study about dynamic, and I'll tell you the difference. Dynamic typing. This we study in Python. In Python, what we can do is, we just create a variable and we store a value inside that variable, and after that we can simply use that variable. See, the difference between static typing and dynamic typing is, in the beginning only we have to provide the data type, and in dynamic typing we don't have to provide the data type. Actually, Python is intelligent enough to understand, okay, f equals to 77, that means it has to be an integer only. So Python is intelligent enough to understand this. But in C and C++, you have to specify. There is no other option. So in the beginning only you have to specify whether it is an integer, string, or any other data type. So that is the difference between dynamic and static typing. And now we'll study about dynamic and static binding. We'll study about static binding first. Static binding. Static binding in C++. In static binding, same thing, we have to provide the variable. We have to I'll tell you guys what is the difference between static and dynamic binding. In static binding, what happens is, once you have created the variable and you have specified that it is an integer, it can store only the data. It can store the value as integer only. Like, it cannot change the data type. It cannot change different values of different data types. So suppose we are giving a 99. Okay, this is static, so I'll just comment because int g equals to 99. So but in, I'll just create one. But in when you are doing dynamic binding, you can store the value and by the same name, and you can create a variable by the same name and store different data types inside that. So I'll just show you guys how to do that. Dynamic binding, supported by Python. Okay, so in dynamic binding, what happens is, suppose we are creating a variable by the name of h equals to, suppose we are storing 88, and then we are printing h, and suppose we are creating one more variable by the name of h, and we are storing a string inside. So when we are printing h 2 times, you can see the difference between static and dynamic binding. See, what happens in static binding is, see, in static binding, if you have created a variable g, it can store only integers value. It can store different integers value, but it has to be an integer only in static, when it comes to static binding. But when it comes to dynamic binding, we can create a variable and we can create another variable by the same name, and we can store two different data types. See, here the data type of h is integer, and here the data type of h is an string. So in the by the name of same variable, we can store two different data types, which we cannot do in static binding. So that is one of the major advantage of Python language. Python language actually it gives us the flexibility to use the code in a proper manner and more easy way. So that's about dynamic binding. And now we'll study about some fancy variable declaration type, like how you can declare variables. I'll create one more cell. See, what we can do is suppose we are creating a variable h equals to 33, I equals to 33, j equals to 44, and k equals to 55. Suppose we are printing I comma j comma k, we'll get the output as 33, 44 and 55. Here we have to write 4 lines, so this is a bit lengthy. So what you can do is you can create variables like this: L comma M comma N equals to 56 comma 60, 77 comma 88, and you can print L comma M comma N. So here we used only 2 lines and we'll get the same output. See, this like it's a fancy way of printing. So you can use different types to according to your convenience to make the code look short. You can write like this. Suppose O equals P equals Q and equals to not like this, O comma P comma Q then. I think this is wrong syntax. What we can do is O equals to P equals to Q equals to 99, and then print O comma P comma Q and then print. So here also we used only 2 lines and we printed O, P and Q in 2 lines only. So you can see the difference between this and these two. Here we used 4 lines, and in these last 2 types we used only 2 lines. So if you use these two, you can code better, you can make your code look shorter. So it's a fancy way of printing. You can use it according to your convenience. And that's about this class. And we are till now we have covered many topics in Python, and we'll be covering about data types in future in details. So stay tuned and come watch my videos, like my videos, and share it with your friends. So thank you for watching. Thank you.